Okay, our recording is started. Gonna go ahead and let everybody in.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everyone. We'll just give it a few more minutes here while people come in. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, give it another minute here and then we'll get started. All right. So we'll go ahead and get started here. People can kind of come in as we go. So welcome everyone to the Assemblage Art Fund virtual information session. Glad you could make it here tonight. So my name is Grace Waitley. I'm the grants manager here at the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art. In addition to managing UMOCA's own grants, I'm also going to be administering the Assemblage Art Fund grants. Jared, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Jared Stephenson. I'm the curator of exhibitions at UMOCA. And just, yeah, along for the ride as well. But am really excited about what this could be for the community and for the museum. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then I think somewhere on here we also have Kate, who is our public programs coordinator, um, hopefully helping us out with the Q&A. So yeah, glad y'all can make it. Um, so our agenda tonight, we're going to go over a lot of general information about the program. If you've spent some time on the website, it might be a little bit redundant, but we're just going to cover it all again just to make sure that we have a lot of clarity there. And then we're also going to dive into the application process itself. So we'll actually go on to Submittable and review all the questions, all the application instructions, and the resources available to help you with that application process. And then we're also going to go over what happens after grants are awarded, as far as we know so far, because this is a brand new program. But we'll just kind of give you a little bit of information on what to expect after applications are submitted and reviewed. And then Jared's going to talk about some examples of projects that would qualify for these grants. Because again, this is a brand new program, so we don't have examples of projects that we've funded yet. But we're going to show you some from some other organizations. And then finally, we'll finish up with some Q&A. So as we go, you should be able to submit questions in the Q&A tab. So yeah, let us know if you have any trouble with that, but that should be available to you. Cool. So I think most of you are probably familiar with the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, or UMOCA as we're known, but just in case, we're going to give you a quick introduction here. So at the Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, our mission statement is that we believe in the power of the art of our time, and through programming, advocacy, and collaboration, we work with artists and communities to build a better world. The museum is located in the middle of downtown Salt Lake City, and we were founded in 1931, so we're actually Salt Lake's oldest arts organization. So the Assemblage Art Fund is a brand new grant program for visual artists and collectives in Salt Lake County. And we're super excited to launch this program this year. So created by UMOCA in partnership with the Andy Warhol Foundation for the Visual Arts, the fund supports new projects that are alternative, collaborative, and intentionally engaging new and diverse audiences. So we are part of the Warhol Foundation's regional regranting program, which is partnering with local arts organizations around the country to make grants to artists and collectives in local communities. So each regranting partner is able to customize a unique program tailored to their own community and the artistic identity of the region. And this program has been going on since 2007. And the network is now active in 38 cities and regions, which is pretty impressive. So projects supported by these grants have included queer zines, living room galleries, radical seafaring events, and virtual reality film screenings. So they're supporting some really creative and unique projects. So the program goals that we've established are to celebrate and strengthen Salt Lake County's diverse local arts community, to expand audience understanding of the contemporary arts, and to enable new projects that push the boundaries of contemporary visual arts. So the overarching goal too is to allow artists to experiment, connect, and to really create new building blocks for support structures for artists in Salt Lake County. So we'll review eligibility. You'll see this information pretty much everywhere, but just to be clear, we don't want anyone to go through the process of applying just to find out later on that they're not eligible. So the primary applicant must be a legal resident of Salt Lake County, over 21 years of age, and not currently enrolled as a student at a college or university. And the primary applicant, even if you're applying as a collective or a group, you need someone to be the main point of contact for the grant. So that's what the primary applicant is. And the project must occur within Salt Lake County. So we've listed out all the cities that are part of Salt Lake County just for clarity's sake. The project must be rooted in the visual arts. The project must have a collaborative element or be collaborative in nature. And we do encourage artists to think creatively about that requirement. It must be for a new and independent project, so not conducted by or in partnership with a 501c3 organization, aka a nonprofit organization, and is not a sustaining project. So the fund is meant to support short-term occurrences, events, and new collaborations that are often ineligible or overlooked by other funding sources. And then the project must be completed within the 12-month grant cycle. And in this context, completed means that the project meets the goals that you outline in the application. So for example, like establishing a new residency, the residency will be ongoing, but the project will be considered complete when the goals are met and the residency is established. And then the project must occur and be presented in a publicly accessible manner. So ineligible projects, kind of, again, just a little bit redundant, but it doesn't hurt to go over it again. Any project occurring outside of Salt Lake County, any project conducted by an individual under 21 or a student, any project conducted in primary partnership with a nonprofit, a sustaining or existing project, for example, an ongoing installation, an exhibition that was already scheduled, a project that cannot be complete within the 12-month grant cycle, or a project not primarily rooted in the visual arts, including music, musical performance, traditional works of theater, etc. So we've established two grant tiers for Assemblage Art Fund, and that's the process grants, which are $5,000, and the project grants, which are $10,000. And during the application process, you will be asked to select one of the tiers to apply to, depending on the one that best aligns with your project scale and concept. So process grants award $5,000 To individual artists incorporating collaborative elements into a solo project or smaller scale projects from a collaborative team. So they support early stage or small scale projects from artists and collectives, initiating new ideas, testing forms, or working at a more intimate scale. While project grants will award $10,000 for major projects from collectives, teams, or an exceptional individual artist with proven capacity and a history of impactful collaboration. And they support ambitious, collaborative visual arts projects with a clear plan for public presentation and engagement. So we really don't have an expectation for how many of each grant tier we're going to award. That will really depend on the applications received and community need. So the selection process, Jared and I are not going to be making the selections. We are here to guide you through the application process, help you out along the way, and really be a support system for you. The grants will be awarded by a jury panel of 4 arts professionals from diverse backgrounds. And we've got, for this panel right now, we're imagining 1 local juror, 1 regional juror. If any of you are fans of 30 Rock, we like to joke that we have the rural juror on the panel. And then 1 juror from our regional granting partner network. And then as well, we're going to have 1 national or international juror. And so jurors will conduct a remote application review through our platform Submittable. And then in September, they'll attend an in-person selection panel to review finalists. There we go. So the scoring criteria that the jurors will be using, they'll use a rubric that reflects the following core criteria. So collaborative in nature, the project concept demonstrates a collaborative element as a core component of process or outcomes, including but not limiting to partnering directly with an unconventional art space, not a registered nonprofit, again, incorporating community participation directly into the project outcomes, utilizing existing landscape, weather, or wildlife as a collaborator. Again, we want you guys to think creatively about what collaboration means. Working with local skilled laborers or contracted workers to introduce new skills or materials in the project. Number 2 is must be public facing and locally engaged. So the project concept demonstrates an intention to expand audiences and invites communities to participate in local visual arts. And this could include utilizing non-traditional venues, leveraging online platforms, creating audience investment through thoughtful partnership or collaborations, or other means of engagement. And then finally, we're looking for something that is alternative in practice. So the project is innovative, surprising, unique, experimental, or expands the practice of the artist or collective. And this could include non-traditional materials, unique research methodology, means of presentation or publication, use of technology or other components. So how to apply. So if you are on the Assemblage Art Fund website, and you will click the tab that says apply at the top, and then you scroll all the way down, we have a link here that will take you to Submittable. And I am going to switch my screen share so that I can walk us through Submittable here. Okay, and hopefully everyone can see that. Okay, Jared, can you confirm? Good.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sorry.
All right, just want to make sure before I
Yeah.
dive into it. Okay, awesome. So you see the little apply now link here, and then we're going to go ahead and we're opening in a new tab. Switch it again. Sorry, little bit of tech adjustment here. Okay, so this link will take you to Assemblage Art Fund's homepage on the submittable platform. And what you're going to see here is a lot of what I just talked about. And you'll find this information pretty much everywhere, just to make sure that that we have a lot of clarity around what the program is and who qualifies, and what the requirements are. So you're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the submittable platform, and then you'll click this button here that says submit. So when you click it at first, you're going to get a prompt to create an account or log in. A lot of you may already have submittable accounts from submitting to various other opportunities. If you don't, the account creation process is pretty straightforward, but you can always email me if you have any trouble, and I'd be happy to help walk you through that. So this is the application here. So I'm just going to go through the requirements and the instructions. First thing right off the top, as a grant writer, I highly recommend copying all of this information into a separate document while you work. And to make that easier, I have gone ahead and created a PDF version of the application here, as well as a Word file that contains all of the questions and information that you need to answer those questions. So I would do that and do it in a Word doc or a Google document or whatever format works for you. You just really don't want to get logged out of this platform while you're in the middle of working and lose whatever work you just completed. So right off the top. So the applications are not going to be scored on spelling and grammar and writing ability, just so you know, as long as your ideas can be clearly understood. And also the word count limits are just intended to provide plenty of room to respond. Please don't feel any need to meet the listed word count limit. Again, as a grant writer, I feel that pressure pretty consistently. So I just want to let you know that, yeah, we're not, if it says 1,000-word limit, we're not expecting you to write 1,000 words. If you don't need that space, don't worry about it. So the application checklist. So again, your primary applicant or your lead applicant, you need to provide their contact information. They do need to be a legal US resident, because they need to have a bank account to provide payment to. So your lead applicant does need to meet that requirement. And that'll just be their name, pronouns, address, email, website, and a link to an artist portfolio or the collective portfolio. We do ask you to submit some demographic information. And I will say this again and again, this is not part of the scoring. This information is not scored. And I know that some of this can be uncomfortable to submit. And if it's really uncomfortable, then feel free to check that box that says prefer not to answer. But by providing this information, you're helping us to document our impact and helping us to report the impact of this program to our funders, and allow us to provide more resources. So we really appreciate it if you can provide that information. And then again, you'll select the grant tier that aligns with your project. So either $5,000 or $10,000. You'll provide a project title. You'll provide the preferred artist or collective name, and this differs from the lead applicant name because this is, or it could be the same, but this is the name that'll be in all our promotional materials, on project labels. So if you're applying as part of a group, this will probably be different than the lead applicant name. And then your project description, which is probably one that you'll spend the majority of your time on. So you'll describe the major activities of the project, clearly outline the project goals that you plan to meet within a year, and or objectives. And then this part is where we start offering alternative response options. So alternatively, you could upload a video or an audio file. And that is true for the next 4 questions. So if you are really not a writer, you'd rather just sit down and talk about the work and what you want to do, we are giving you that option as well. So next you'll talk about the audience and community engagement component. So you'll describe the audience or community that this project will actively engage and the activation strategies that you'll use. And then we also ask you to discuss project impact and relevance, talking about how the proposed project relates to the contemporary arts landscape now. So why this project? Why now? Why is it timely? Why is it important? And then we'll ask you to provide the artist and collaborator bios for your major collaborators. These can be pretty short. You don't have to go overboard, but just a little bit about each collaborator. And then we'll ask you to outline your project timeline. So the project period for this grant cycle is November 1st of this year through November 1st of 2026. So you can use whatever format makes sense for your project, you know, month or quarter or week, however makes sense to you, as long as your ideas are clearly communicated and we see exactly how you're going to accomplish the project in the given timeline. And then we do have some required attachments as well. So we ask for the lead applicant's CV, an artist statement from either the lead applicant or the collaborative as a whole. And then work samples are probably one of the most important components of your application. So you can attach up to 10 images, links, or videos demonstrating exemplary work by you and your collaborators. So we do ask that you keep the total length of all videos at about 15 minutes, just to be mindful of the jury's time. And then we're also going to have you include the title, medium, year, and dimensions for each work sample. And the way that I recommend doing this is include all work samples and descriptions in a single PDF. And you can use links in that PDF to include videos, digital publications, or linking to high-res images in a separate platform. But you're also able to upload images themselves if you'd rather do it that way. And then your budget, which can be the scariest component of any grant application, as I know, but we do ask you to provide one. And then this is something that we are able to offer you assistance with if you need it. So you'll balance your expenses and your project income, and you'll include this grant request in your income as either $5,000 or $10,000. I've gone ahead and created a project budget template here that I recommend using just for ease, but you can always use your own. Sorry, we're a little slow loading here. Okay, hopefully that's good now. So you just fill out your general project information here at the top. It's a pretty simple template, just income in this first tab here. And I've given some instructions here in yellow to kind of guide you as you fill out your budget template. So you'll include your Assemblage Art Fund grant first, and then any other sources of income that you might have, like sponsorships, donations, anything else like that. It's very possible that your assemblage grant is the only source of income for your project, and that is totally fine. We are looking to be like a major supporter of your project. The grant funding is not designed to be like a small portion of a $50,000 or $100,000 project. So if we are the only source of income for the project, that is totally fine. And then you'll list your project expenses here. So the goal is to balance your project income with your project expenses. So if you have a $5,000 grant, we're asking you to break up your project expenses into $5,000 in total. So you have an example here of like your plywood boards are going to cost $120 because they're 6 at $20 each. So be as specific as you can. And we totally understand that this is an estimation and things change. So don't feel any pressure that like, oh, it has to be exactly what I'm going to spend. We're totally willing to work with you on these things. But it does have to be specific and it does have to seem realistic. So if you have any questions or needs for accessibility with the application, please reach out and we will absolutely do our best to accommodate whatever you need. Submitting a paper application in the mail, email, or individual accommodations, translations, whatever we can help with, please reach out. And then I'm just going to scroll down here, and this is everything that we just went over. So I'll just show you where the form fields are and where to input that information. This is the demographics survey. And I don't remember if I mentioned this, but this is for any of your currently known collaborators. So in addition to yourself. So whatever you can provide for us is super helpful. And then your project information section where you will spend most of your time. So your project description, and you can see there are specific instructions for each question there to help you out. And then this field here is where you have the option to upload your videos or audio files for the above 4 questions. And then also your timeline, you can enter it in a text format or you can upload a file. So we've given you that option as well. And then this is where you will attach your required files that we went over there. And then you can save a draft as you work. Again, I recommend working in a separate document and then moving all your information here when you're ready to submit. But if you'd like to, for some reason, work in Submittable, you can save a draft as you work as well. Or if you get halfway through like moving your information over and you need to step away, you can always save the draft. And then you will click submit when you're finished. So that is the application. And I'm going to go back over here, bring us back to our slides. Sorry for the brief intermission. All right, cool. We're back where we were. All right. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about just the resources that we have available to you as you're working on your application, and maybe questions come up or you're not sure if your idea will work, or you just want to refine some things, talk some stuff out. We're going to go over what might be helpful for that. So back on that apply now page, if you may have seen when I was on there earlier, under the apply now button, we've got a list of application resources, and that includes the documents that I just showed you, and also the first resource there listed, which is basically a PDF version of the website, and that includes the application checklist as well. So maybe that is a good place to start. It's just printing that out and reviewing all that information. But that's where you can find all of those application resources in one place. So I don't know why I'm missing my word workshop. I don't know why that happened. That's supposed to say application workshop. So that is taking place on Wednesday, July 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. here at the museum. We're going to host that here in our education studio. It's just going to be a casual opportunity to come, bring your laptop, bring your notebook, however you work best. And you'll have the opportunity to ask questions, just work in a supportive environment. Sometimes it's nice just to have like some structured work time where you're outside of the house. yeah, discuss project ideas, meet some other applicants. We'll have some light snacks and refreshments that night too. Oh, all my words are, I don't know. Huh. So virtual office hours, we're going to have 2 of those days. So the first day is going to be on Tuesday, July 29th. And that will be from 12 to 2 p.m. and then again from 6 to 8 p.m. And that's just going to be an open Zoom or Teams meeting where the link will just be live on the website. So you can set a notification for that. And then it'll just be 2 2-hour sessions. So hopefully one of those works for schedules where Jared or I will just be in the meeting and you can drop in, you can ask questions, you can chat with us for a bit about an idea you have or something. I will be in the 12 to 2 sessions and then Jared will be in the 6 to 8 sessions. So for like administrative application questions, you may want to come talk to me. For project ideas and like more conceptual questions, you might want to talk to Jared. And then the second session will be on Tuesday, August 5th, and same hours. And then I am also a resource for you. Please, like I said, like we have no sway in who gets awarded grants. I am here to help you. I am here to make this easier for you. So please reach out. I work Monday through Friday. 10 to 6 are my most responsive hours, but feel free to reach out to me outside of those hours. I don't care if you send me an email at 2 a.m. I'm not checking. Whenever works for you, I will get back to you. And then number 2 is something that is super important is I would love if everyone could go ahead and sign up for the Assemblage newsletter. I know that email fatigue is like a real thing. Yeah, Kate just dropped that into the chat. So that's perfect. So you can click that link and that will directly send you to a page where you can sign up to receive that newsletter. And we're not going to be sending you like 3 emails a week. This is just like only important updates. So we're also going to send out the RSVP link for the application workshop, virtual office hours updates. If dates change or anything like that, this is how you'll receive that information. So please, please, please go ahead and sign up for that. It's the best way to stay updated. Okay, so I'll just go over now a little bit about what we expect to happen after awards are received and applications are in. So after jury review in September, we will be notifying grantees and all applications or all applicants of grant status in October. So October is when you can expect to hear back of whether your project was awarded or not. And then grantees will be publicly announced and celebrated on October 24th at UMOCA's annual Halloween Bash. So that'll be just like a fun opportunity to celebrate everyone. We encourage all applicants to come. You'll all receive invitations, and it'll just be a fun night. So the grant payment schedule, we anticipate dispersing 80% of grant funds at the start of the project period. So that'll be November, and 20% at the end of the project period after reports are submitted, so November 2026. If the project cannot be completed without the remaining funds, we can disperse those funds sooner as well. And then payment method will be by check or direct deposit. So the reporting itself, we understand that administrative tasks are probably the worst part of being an artist, right? So we're trying to make that as simple as possible while still collecting the information that we need to improve the program, track our impact, and report to our funding partners. So we're totally willing to work with you if something about it doesn't work. We can talk. We can set up just a one-on-one meeting to meet those requirements, whatever we need to do. So we will ask you to report back on your expenses. And what I'm imagining this looks like right now is just an updated budget template with your actual spending rather than your estimated expenses. So just as far as like what the expense breakdown was for the grant funds. So you will be expected to relatively track that throughout the project period. And then we will ask for narrative. So sharing your project process, challenges, outcomes, collaborations, and the evolution of your practice in a narrative format. And again, like with the application, this could be a video, this could be an audio file, whatever it feels more accessible. And then we will ask for upgraded demographics info as well. The same survey that's in the application in all likelihood, and just asking for an updated version of that, depending on if you introduced new collaborators, partners. So just being mindful of that during the project period. And then of course, visual documentation. So submitting high quality video images, and then we also may request to take videos or photos of your project for our media usage as well. So something that we're also interested in is cohort development for grantees. So in addition to the ceremony at the Halloween Bash, we're imagining facilitating grantee meetups, feedback or presentation opportunities with stakeholders, maybe a Discord channel. This is something that we imagined like kind of co-creating along the way with you guys. So yeah, we think that this will probably evolve some. Okay, cool. And now Jared's going to chat a little bit about some example projects that have been funded by other granting partners. And Jared, you can just cue me when you want to slide change.
Yeah, great, thanks. So I think one of the resources that I may have seen on the links a little ways back was there should be on the regranting website a list of other organizations and their funding kind of websites or whatnot that give a list of everything that they funded. So I think if you want further resources or further information about projects that have been funded in other places around the country, I think that's a good place to take a look for those. So I didn't want to take up too much time, so I think just selected a few projects to kind of talk about. This one's from I think 2018 called the Potluck Cart, and it was funded by Rocket Grants in Kansas City, Missouri. And the idea was to create this cart that could be wheeled around on a bicycle that would open up and become a space where there could be community engagement in some way. And what I thought was interesting about this project is that it could be centered around food, it could be centered around other types of interactions, but it felt like something that was constantly sort of evolving and could be informed by each sort of event that they've put on as a collective. And so it looks, like some of the funding probably went to creating the trailer for the bicycle and kind of what that fabrication was. So there's a good chance that these artists were also working with local fabricators to get these things made and produced, and then I think some of the money would then also go into creating those social interaction points. So yeah. Some of these that I selected have actually just recently been awarded, so there's not a ton of information about how they play out. But what I was looking for were also these alternative means of presenting something at the end of the grant period. So this is called How to Move a Tree by Picnic Collective. It was funded by the Kindling Fund in Portland, Maine. So looking at a how-to guide that involves a series of instructions that engage ideas of uprooting, transplanting, and finding agency and community. So, you know, they're in looking for more information about this project in particular. It looks like they're still sort of building it out, but this collective has produced books in the past that are representative of the projects that they do as a collective. And this seems like one of those examples where they decided on the name of the collective as being Picnic Collective, but it is a group of artists that are kind of working together underneath that umbrella of the Picnic Collective. So. Uh, if I don't want to mispronounce this, the Aeneavis. So this one is funded by the Hoakea source in Honolulu, Hawaii. And this was, I think the thing that drew me to this was it was an opportunity to think about sort of visualizing these areas and stories of achievement of people coming together through a mapping project. I'm not necessarily sure how it is going to be presented in the end, if it is in book format or if it's just a map that's visualizing these kind of points where these things have happened. But it is about the collective going out and interviewing people and engaging with the community on a larger scale. So if you look at all the points that they've been able to contact and talk to people, you can see that on the map there. So it is thinking about how does this project exist outside of a gallery or a museum or even an alternative space. It really is sort of like expanding what, like it says, like what art can be and how people come to understand what art can be. So. And then another one in Hawaii. This one is two artists working together about creating sustainable materials for making work, so paper in particular. So part of what they are doing then is they're working with local um, craftspeople, local farmers, and sourcing materials, and then creating paper making workshops so people could come in and learn how to make their own rather than going and purchasing paper to make the artwork. So really trying to look at a sustainable model for artwork production that within Hawaii. So this one, you know, really seems like there's this knowledge or this physical kind of knowledge that's being imparted to other people when they attend those workshops, that material then could be used for them to create their own artworks from there. So.
Yeah, and then I went ahead and marked the
Thank you.
link again that you were talking about. So on that application resources tab on the website, that link right there will take you to the regranting partner network. So you'll be able to navigate to the websites of all the other regranting partners and see some really cool projects that have been funded by those in the past as well.
Yeah, if I and a few that we didn't share because there weren't even images to kind of like entice you were from an organization in Portland. There's a lot of good things that are being funded up that way, so those are good examples to check out. So.
Yeah. So we'll jump into some Q&A here. And I think Kate was going to pull some, but we've got some in the chat here. If you do have new questions, if you want to go ahead and put them in the Q&A tab, that would be awesome. But I'll answer the ones that have been in the chat, just so that we don't lose track of those. So Julie says, can nonprofits be the space for an independent artist to use for their project, like a mural? I would say that a venue probably counts as a primary collaborator. I mean, like in your budget, you should be demonstrating that you're paying artists and collaborators, but also compensating venues fairly, I think is a fair requirement. So I want to say no. But I mean, the case could be made on an individual basis. So if that is something that is a core component of the project, let's chat about it. And then Molly says, are dance-related collaborative projects eligible to apply? Okay, cool. Thanks, Julie. And this one, I think if it's outside of like traditional dance performance, what do you think, Jared?
Yeah, looking at some of the others around the country, if the dance being created is outside of a traditional venue, so if it's something that becomes site specific, I think, and that has another maybe sort of visual element as a component, it looks like those are things that have been supported. So I would say yes, but again, it'll be one of those individual basis things. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna jump into the Q&A here. I'm not sure, Kate, do you have access to your microphone? I'm not sure that you do, but that's okay. We've
I
only got a
think I
few.
can make Kate a presenter. 1 second here. Let me just find them on the.
Okay, we've only got a couple in the Q&A right now, so I think
Okay.
I'll just go ahead and read those. Um, so Tim asks, one of my possible collaborators is University of Utah professor, but they're not paid by the U to do any work on this project. Seems like it's not related to their teaching. No, that seems fine to me if it's just on a personal basis. There wouldn't be any issue if they're not as collaborating as a U professor. Um, and then Nick asks, wondering if there will be any liability or other insurance requirements if accepted for the grant. That is an interesting question. That's
Yeah.
something that I can check in with the Warhol Foundation on to see what has been done in the past. Um, we are also learning along the way with
Yep.
this process in year one. So yeah, I will check in on that and maybe send that out in the follow-up email. Um, something that we have thought about though is like tax implications and like having a connection to a tax expert who's familiar with the types of tax challenges that artists face and having someone like that on hand to refer you guys to.
Yeah, I think Nick also, I think it's an interesting question because I know, let's say for if you've been awarded a public art grant in Salt Lake County, I know that there is this requirement for certain insurance or liability for your car or whatnot. So I think that's something that I haven't seen in anything specifically from Warhol, but it's worth checking into. So yeah, thanks for asking the question.
Yeah, we have an organization in Denver that we're learning a lot from, Redline
Yeah.
Contemporary Art, who's been running their own regranting program for several years, and we'll check in with them and see what they do and check in with city guidelines and get back to you on that.
Yeah, Nick, could you? Oh, wait, I guess if you registered, we would have your email address. I just want to make sure that we're able to kind of respond to you directly. So if we don't have it, maybe could you put it in the chat and we can copy it and have and be able to respond to you?
Great. Yeah, if there are any other questions, please go ahead and drop them in here. Andy Rupa asks, how do you guys relate to art that's connected to spiritual or religious topics? I mean, I would say that's something that like we're definitely open to projects um, related. I think it would be like on an individual project basis.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. The one for Kristen, do you see that one, Grace? Maybe like, I don't know, it's in the Q&A.
Okay, I'm jumping back and forth between the
Yes,
email
yeah,
chat.
yeah, yeah. I don't know if this is one that you've noticed. I should say that Grace has done a ton of work on this and is much more knowledgeable than I am and on these kind of like nuts and bolts questions. So, um, do you see that one about?
Yeah, yes, yeah, absolutely. Yes. And yeah, I think like you can think loosely, like creatively about the word collaborators and like just encouraging creative collaboration. Um, yeah, constructing, fabrication, building. Yes, absolutely. We want you to pay those folks.
Yeah.
If the studio space is an LLC or a corporation, are they eligible for the grant? Yes. Yep, just not nonprofits, and that's primarily a guideline from the Warhol Foundation, because nonprofits are typically eligible for main sources of arts funding.
Mhm.
And the goal with this program is to fund projects and entities that are not typically eligible for those kinds of grants.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it can't be used for operating expenses. Is that correct at an alternative venue
Yes,
or
it's
yeah,
yeah, project-based funding only. So
okay.
yeah, it can be an existing venue, LLC, but it has to be a new project. That's a good differentiator.
Okay.
And then Inez says, how much of the budget should be allocated as revenue for the artist? So that's a great question. I think I actually put a guideline for this in the budget template. Um, I'm going to go ahead and pull that up here. Okay, so artist compensation is typically 20 to 30% of the budget, and there's a note on that in the budget template. So that's like a basic guideline that you can use as far as how much to pay yourselves and yourself and your collaborators. Okay, and then Kristen says, what are the guidelines for what funds may or may not be used for? Any restrictions? Yeah, so artist fees, stipends, venue space, rental fees, materials, promotional materials, all of those things listed are eligible expenses. As long as the costs are directly related to the project and not just general operating support for a venue or a space. Um, yeah, hopefully that clarifies a little bit. Again, if you have like specific budget questions, the application workshop would be a great place to bring those, or office hours, or just shoot me an email. Can a city-owned property be used as a venue? Um, Interesting. I would say yes. I don't.
Yeah, that's a good question. That may be another one of those that we should like reach out and just to make sure that we're telling you correct information. Yeah,
Yeah,
but it seems like if that's like it seems like under the guidelines it should work. But yeah,
I would say yes. I would say we're like maybe the city wouldn't be paid for that, but
yeah.
I think yeah, like essentially having an in-kind venue donation wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Okay, my project has a spiritual focus, but also includes community engagement. Should I apply for a process grant or a project grant? Um, so I don't think either of those things would determine which tier you apply for. Um, I think the biggest deciding factor there would be the scale of your project and how much money do you need to put on the project. Um, I think it could easily fall into either category, just depending on what you're thinking.
Hmm.
So maybe that's a case of like we should chat, or you should come to the application workshop and let's figure it out. Just wait another minute and see if any other questions come in. These are great questions, though.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, again, that application workshop is going to be here at UMOCA, Utah Museum of Contemporary Art, 20 Southwest Temple, and that will be on July 23rd. It's okay. This information will be in the email that we send out following the webinar too, which will be over the next couple days. Yeah, Wednesday, July 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. Go ahead and pull that slide up.
Kristen, to answer yours in the Q&A, I think this is one of the ones that we're like kind of learning. Uh, I will say this. I think if you have at least an agreement from a space, that would be ideal, like that they are interested in the project. I know that there were some awards that were given out for a grant, not related to this, but it one of the requirements was that the it ended in an exhibition at a venue, and so there was this interesting thing where like depending on what the venue was, it like there was that question of like are you paying for that space? You know, like how does like does award money go to you and then to the venue and what does that look like? And I know this is a different situation, but I think the thing that really came out of it was kind of needing to ahead of time know that before the grant was applied for, that there was a space that had agreed to present it instead of getting the money and then going and trying to get the venue to agree to the project. So I think just in terms of like a process thing, it would be nice to know if they've already
Yeah.
are willing to kind of exhibit the work. Yeah.
I would say too, it would definitely strengthen the application.
Yeah.
I don't know that it would disqualify you if it's
Right.
not agreed upon. Like I think having at least having an idea of where, but if the venue is already like, at least for if you can say you have verbal confirmation, I think that would strengthen the application. And then Ned says, can you apply as part of a collective and separately as an individual? I'm going to say no. I think at least if you are the lead applicant on both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and how to prepare for the application workshop. Yeah, I would say I think the more information and ideas on the project you can have before then, the better. The application deadline is August 15th, and it'll take some time to put the application together, come up with the budget. I would try to have some at least like bullet point notes on your project idea, have thought through your project concept, or at least like what you want to chat about with a project concept beforehand. Maybe try to take a loose stab at the budget. Um, I've definitely procrastinated putting a budget together for a grant before, but it can also be an awesome place to start because you get that it can really help you just start to think concretely about your idea and how practical it is just by just starting to get some notes down for that. So. No, you don't have to have received any grants before, um, anything like that. Uh, yeah, I mean, we ask for the CV, but yeah, we're not, that's not the primary scoring criteria that we're looking at. Yeah, so the jury panel, seems like you may have come in a little bit through the presentation. That's okay. So the jury panel will consist of 4 arts professionals from diverse backgrounds. So we'll have 1 local juror, 1 regional juror, 1 juror from our regional regranting partner network. So those other organizations that are funded by the Andy Warhol Foundation, and part of that network, and then 1 national or international juror. And yeah, we will be announcing that panel probably within the next month or so. Tim says, can you talk a little more about the purpose of the CV? What if this is our first project? Says we do not have a history of a project like this. Um, yeah, I think it's just a matter of kind of seeing where you're coming from. It's just another resource that we can use, that the jury can use to evaluate, um, I guess, how realistic the project is that you're proposing, right? And does it align with your experience and background? Um, so, Jared, any other thoughts on that one?
No, I think you said it well right there at the end. I think it's just it helps them to figure out if it is a doable project. So
Yeah. What makes the Assemblage Art Fund unique compared to the other grant programs in the regranting network? Um, I think we're still figuring that out along the way. Um, this is like the whole program is kind of a collaborative effort. Um, Year 1 is really interesting, and just kind of stepping into the unknown, and um, just really excited to see what you guys come up with.
I'll say one thing that I noticed when I was looking through them is there's this thing that starts to happen where like this regional identity starts to kind of make itself known through the projects that are being proposed. Uh, and so it's like each one of them, while maybe there's some things that sort of like connect projects together from different regranting institutions, it really is something that starts to feel unique about each one of these communities. So this being the first year that we're part of the regranting program, we're still learning what that looks like and what would make us unique from them. But yeah, we're learning. Like Grace said, we're still figuring it out. It's a new thing for us too. Yeah.
Yeah, and Stephen asks, beyond the primary applicant, who needs to be a Salt Lake County resident, are there any limitations for other collaborators or collaborative elements to also be sourced or living locally? As long as those 2 requirements are met, where the primary applicant is living in Salt Lake County, and the project is taking place in Salt Lake County, um, that's it. You can source outside of that. Any advice for making, or did you have something to add there, Jared?
No. I was also just probably reading the same question
The
in your
next
head
one,
there.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
do you want to take this one?
Uh, y- that I mean, I think because we haven't done it before, I don't know if I have like really good information for you on that one. But I think if it's like if you go through the application process and you're looking at the requirements and sort of descriptions and whatnot, that it does feel like it is a thoughtful project where you really are kind of looking at what you want your outcomes to be, the communities you want to engage with, and what that process looks like. I think that's going to stand out. If it feels a little kind of loose, like you really haven't dialed it in yet, I think that's going to come through. And while so these things do have to happen within a certain time period, so being able to see that you've thought out what that looks like and they feel like attainable and achievable goals within that, I think that would be helpful. So
Yeah, I think the work samples is always an opportunity to
yeah.
shine, right? Let the work speak for itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is just a nice comment. Kara says, I'm happy to see an application process that is flexible and simple and doesn't bog applicants down in excessive impact questions.
Hmm.
Excited to watch this come to fruition and to apply. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think as artists ourselves and as someone who applies for a lot of grants, yeah, we want to make this as easy as possible for you guys. So even if you come across something that is like really presenting an obstacle in the application process, just reach out and we'll try to help in any way we can.
Sorry, there's one more from Kristen. If a project results in a body of work or part of the goals, would the body of work remain the artists or collectives, both physically and media rights wise? Yes. If I'm saying that correctly, Grace, it's your project. Uh, and just yeah, I think we may take photos of them and use them for promotional materials, but we lay no claim, I think, to
Yeah, you
yeah,
retain all
yeah,
intellectual rights, you and your collaborators.
yeah,
Oh, and yeah, Andy asked earlier too, yeah, just reiterating that yes, it's the first year of this program, that this is a brand new partnership with the Andy Warhol Foundation that's allowing us to create this fund. And Jared and I are not part of the jury.
yeah,
We are solely administrators, facilitators. We are a resource for you all. Um, so.
yeah,
Yeah, thank you for the nice comments,
yeah,
guys.
yeah,
So excited
definitely.
to see what you come up with. Is a US citizenship or a specific residency duration in Utah required to apply? For the lead applicant, yes. For collaborators, we are not requesting that information, and it is not required.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and again, that requirement is that the lead applicant is a legal resident of Salt Lake County. So your collaborators do not have to meet that requirement, but the lead applicant does. Great. Any last questions want to come through? Again, you can always reach out after. Yeah, and I again, I encourage you guys to go and check out the partner websites
hmm,
um, from the other Warhol We're Granting partners. There is so much cool work being done,
yep,
um, and it's like I'm sure it'll be great for inspiration and ideas, or maybe you had a concept you're thinking of and it might evolve a little bit after looking at some of these. Um, yeah, highly recommend it.
yeah.
Mixie Art Studio says, is there a number of grants that will be given? We anticipate 6 to 12 grants. The total grant funding available is 60,000, I believe. So, and again, we're not sure how many 5,000, how many 10,000 will, that will consist of. But yeah, so six to 12 grants total. And then, yeah, Andy, yeah, as long as it's all, direct project costs, I think that's the main thing. So materials, paying yourself, paying your collaborators, venue fees, yeah. You can see it's getting dark there, Jared.
Yeah. Yep. Nice and pretty and green now. How heavily is each category weighted?
I will be totally frank here and say that we haven't designed the rubric yet.
Yeah.
We will share that with you once it's designed.
Yeah.
So that will be, yeah, that is next on my list after tonight. We got some of our granting partners have shared their scoring rubrics, so we've got some good references for that in the design of ours. But I anticipate those 3 priorities will be pretty equal.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what is the shape of your logo symbolized? You'd have to talk to our brand manager about that.
Yeah.
I don't know that it has a specific meaning. I'll just bring those scoring criteria up here again, just for. I will say, I imagine that the like the overall project concept and how well everything ties together will probably be the biggest factor rather than the individual elements themselves. Cool. All right. Last call for questions here, and we'll wrap up. I will say all visual mediums, but we are looking for alternative projects. So like a more traditional like exhibition of paintings is probably not something that will be funded. But if you can find a way to utilize a painting practice in a unique, engaging way, in an alternative practice, that is more of what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, open to all visual mediums. Do we get to meet Andy Warhol? I have bad news, Tim. Andy would be proud, though. All right. On that note, thank you everyone so much for coming and listening to me talk for a long time. I am sorry if some of the slides were messed up. I downloaded them from Google Slides into a PowerPoint format, and we all know how that goes sometimes. So they were still legible, hopefully. But yeah, please reach out if you think of any other questions. We'll send a follow-up within the next few days with slides to download, recording link in case you want to go back to anything, and for those that couldn't join us tonight, and answering a couple of those questions that we couldn't answer tonight. So yeah, thanks so much, everyone. Have a good night.